What is the role of fasting in energy? We talk about fasting producing ketones. We talk about fasting having all these metabolic benefits, but where does that come from? What is the energy powerhouse in the cell? We're talking about the mitochondria. If you don't, if you haven't figured that out, we're talking about what does fasting do to the mitochondria, and how does that boost energy? Here, that's what we're doing right now on this episode. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you, I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, and we're using fasting as one of those amazing tools that helps us be successful in that direction. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments as well, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music, and let you know that we are glad that you're here. If you do have questions as we move throughout the show, go ahead and put those in the comments, and go ahead and put a Q in front of that so we know that that's a question that we need to get to. Excited that I'm here, get a chance to hang out with you. We've been using fasting as a tool, and we'll come back to that in a minute, to let you know or set some background, right, for what we're doing, why we're doing this, and what are some of the benefits. Before we get there, I want to make sure, if you've not already done so, we're in our series on Dwain Woode MD. We're talking about fasting. We're talking about reversing diabetes, and we're learning some amazing tools that helps us in that direction. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and make sure that you get back and watch the last 4 episodes that we've done on Dwain Woode MD Live, because each of those episodes is building on the other as we discuss our COPE model. This is the model, COPE, by the way, not COKE, CO, not COC, our model for how we go about dealing with those things that push us in the direction of eating. How do we deal with the food? How do we deal with temptation? How do we deal with those things that are pushing us off of our eating plan, those desires, those cravings? That's what we're dealing with in the COPE model. So if you've not done so, go ahead and make sure you do that, because that's another one of those tools that we have in the space of in our toolbox for helping us to be successful in our metabolic health. I do want to hop over and say hello. I do see Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, who's one of our community members that's out there. And let's see. Let's do this one. And she said, "Hey, Doc. Hey, Jennifer. Glad that you are here. Glad you're hanging out with us in this episode. And wherever you are, whatever platform you find yourself on, I'm glad that you're here. That you're able to hang out with us, whether it's Instagram or Twitch or LinkedIn, of course, here on YouTube, and then on Facebook. Glad that you are hanging out with us. All right. So, as I do, as you know how I do here on the show, and if you don't, you'll find out. I've got some monitors that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. Actually, let's do this one. So I've got some monitors we're going to take a look at. I've got my Keto Mojo, my Contour. We'll look at those. And then right below me, of course, is my, yep, that is my my Dexcom Clarity Report. And we'll talk more about that. Before I do that, though, I do want to go ahead and do our check-in. And as we get into the check-in, this is a great place for me to lay or talk about the backdrop. Where are we coming from? What are we doing? So our goal is to reverse diabetes. That is what we've been working on. New year, new you. How do we improve our metabolic health? How do we get off of medication? How do we set ourselves up to be metabolically healthy? And one of the major things that we suffer from is diabetes. And so diabetes being the prototypic metabolic disease, our goal is to give a workflow, give a structure for us to be able to improve that. Now, most things that we do in life where we don't have success, it's not because we didn't have a desire. It's not because we didn't have knowledge. It's not even because we didn't have time. it's usually because we don't have structure. And the new year, new you method process is putting structure to the things that we are learning that sets us up to be successful metabolically. And we're using diabetes, that prototypic disease, to be able to do that. So we're putting diabetes in remission. We are reversing diabetes. In the process of doing that, there are hosts of metabolic benefits that we get. As we've learned, right? So all the tools that we are learning, as we've learned that we can improve metabolic health when it comes to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, cancers even, and metabolic disease, on and on and on and on. So that's what we're doing. And in that process, in our bag of tricks, in our toolbox, fasting is one of the tools that we've been using. And we've done an extensive discussion of fasting. Go back and watch on our playlist. It's called How to Fast Successfully. So each of the shows that we've done in the fasting journey are in that playlist. So starting from the beginning and just walking through all the various topics that cause that gives robustness, right? If that's a word, I created that. So some it gives flavor, it gives depth to the conversation that we're having on fasting. And so as we do our check-ins, our goal is to build on that platform, to build on the knowledge that you have so that you can set yourself up for the best possibility of using fasting, one of the tools, to reverse diabetes. Okay, so that gives you kind of backdrop. And so each time I come on, what I'm doing is I'm walking you through the process of fasting. I am fasting, let's see, a little over 24 hours, 25 hours now, 25 plus hours. I usually start the fast a day later. So tomorrow would have been 24 hours for me, but I started the fast a little early. If you were on the show last night, actually, when we did Dwain Woode MD, you know that at that time I was at 24 hours. And so I broke the fast afterwards and I restarted, right? So I'm in my 72-hour fast officially now. I mentioned on the show last night I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And of course, when you're not sure what you're going to do, guess what you do? You don't fast. And so anyway, so I'm a little bit over 25 hours in fasting right now. So we'll talk about that. But in the process of doing that, one of the things that I always want you to do whenever we're making changes, whenever we're looking to improve things, we want to be sure that we are checking in with ourselves. We're checking in to see how we're doing. We're checking in to see if there's benefit. We're checking in to see if there are symptoms, side effects, and all those. And that's what I do as I do my check-in each time that we come on. And the check-in really is looking at the areas where people will have difficulty, right? People have difficulty when it comes to with how they're feeling physically, how they're feeling mentally, and how they're feeling emotionally. And those are the very areas that we talk about when we do our check-in. So let's go ahead and hop over there. So physically. So once again, this week, just like in the previous weeks, I came into the fast more tired, right? So I didn't do a good job of getting rest. And so even today, as I was doing something, and it was the end of the day. We had gone through. We'd seen the patients, and we were working on a few things before I get in the car and get home. And I was sitting there talking to one of my team members, and I fell asleep. Yes. And so she kindly waited. Da, 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 da. And she said, "Are you okay? Okay." And she said, "Okay, you got to get some rest." Okay. And so I'm more tired, not drained because of fasting, but just fatigued because of lack of sleep. And when we do our check-in, when we do our extensive review of fasting, as we do on Fridays, that is something that we do talk about. Hey, we need to make sure that we're doing a good job of getting rest. Okay, so that's physically. Mentally, yeah, as you can imagine, right now I'm feeling tired. Right, I'm feeling tired, and so that shows up. in the thought process. They say that if you are sleep deprived, then sometimes your reaction time is just as delayed as someone who may be um, intoxicated. Okay, now, so I didn't stay up for 24 hours. I think that's where the studies were, more than 24 hours. I just didn't get enough sleep last night. But I can tell, even as was preparing to get things, because I had some things I was doing, even after I did. Even after I finished at the office, I had to run some errands. I'm working on a new series. I think I've mentioned that. And so I had to do that. And so that delayed my coming home. And I think some of those processes that I was doing took a little bit longer, right? Because physically I was tired, and that showed up with the quickness, if you will. Um, I'm not feeling groggy, but I can tell, right, that hey, I'm not as quick. So that's mentally. Going back to physically for a minute, when people talk about the physical, they're usually talking about energy levels, feeling drained. And I think that's where I am. I'm not feeling some of those other symptoms like palpitations, lightheadedness, dizziness, sweatiness, those things that people would talk about when they talk about lower blood sugars. That I'm not feeling. I did have a little bit of a headache just as I was getting ready to come on. That has resolved. I'm not sure what that was about. Um, but I think all that stems from what's going on in terms of my energy, my rest. Okay, all right, and then emotionally, actually feeling pretty good. Started the fast early, and I started the fast early because we've got some things that we're going to be doing as a family, and so I wanted to at least get 24 hours out of the way, do this show, right, so that we can do that, and then get into some of that. And we'll have to figure out what my schedule is going to be as we move into those spaces, because we're on spring break right now. Not spring break. We're on fall break. And so yeah, so we're going to be doing some things as a family. All right. So that's how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, and that's exciting, right? So in terms of emotions. All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at blood sugars. And you'll see there on the screen, that is my Freestyle Libre 3. I think this is a plus. I think I mentioned last night. This is a Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, and you'll see my blood sugar is 89. If you look at the squiggly white line that's down there, you'll see that starting right at about, I don't know, maybe 4:30 this afternoon, we dropped below 100 and has been kind of staying there, still going down, but just below 100. Prior to that, I was right at about maybe 130, and we'll see um, more exact numbers when we get over to the Dexcom. This one doesn't allow me to scroll, but when we get to the Dexcom, we'll see. So this is the Libre down at Libre 3. Way down at the bottom, you see those dashed green lines. Those are the lines that are telling me how many days I have left in this sensor. And if you recall, yesterday I actually changed both my Libre and my Dexcom sensors. All right, so let's go ahead and let's hop over to the Dexcom. And right now it is saying that my blood sugar is 101. And let's go ahead and scroll. Let me scroll through and see if I can. So right at about maybe 4:30 on the Libre was when my blood sugars went below 100. And the Dexcom is usually higher than Libre, so I'm not, this is not showing me below 100 yet. But we're heading there, right? So we're right there at 101. And so this, once again, is after 25 hours, more than 24 hours, a little over 25 hours of fasting. All right, so now let's take a look at what my monitors are saying. So here's my Keto Mojo, which gives me both glucose and ketone. Here is my Contour, which gives me glucose. Of course, I got my strips. So let's go ahead and let's get one of these Contour strips out. All right, get that in there. And I'm going to start with the glucose for the Keto Mojo, but I'm actually going to open both of these strips so that the ketone one is readily accessible, because I don't want to have to prick my finger again because the drop of blood dried out. So let's go ahead and I'm going to grab Lancet. And what do you think? What do you think my ketones are going to be? Right, we've seen what my blood sugars are, but what do you think my ketones are going to be? And so this is just a Lancet. Let me move this over here. It comes in two parts. There's the cap or the top that's here, and once you turn it, there's a little needle, and you probably can't see that needle right there. Maybe a better view of that. And so this usually goes into a lancing device that's spring-loaded, and so when you press the little button, it pops out, and this gives you a finger stick. I just usually grab this, take off the top, and I use it on my finger just like this. This one, I think I've mentioned a couple of times that it seems to be finer, smaller than some of the others, and so it hurts a little bit more, but let's see if that gives me a good, yep, it gives me a good drop of blood. Let's start over here with the Keto Mojo. Get a drop on my contour. So 109 for the Keto Mojo, and then the contour says that my blood sugar is 101, right? Which is actually the exact same as the Dexcom. And let me get this out, and we're going to put the ketone strip in there, and then get that going. So if you think you know what the ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop that in the comments. What do you think after 25 hours of fasting? Okay. So I'm going to let that run, but of course I'm not going to show you what the number is. Boom, boom, boom. Right, I always tease you guys. Okay. All right, so we'll come back and we'll take a look at that, see what it is in just a minute. But let's go ahead and let's have our conversation about power in the cell. Power in the cell. And when we talk about energy in the cell, one thing to understand is that the energy source that the body uses, primary energy source, I guess, let me say it that way, that the body uses is glucose. So the equipment, the enzymes, the mechanisms in the body, the cells are equipped and designed to use sugar, glucose, as energy. Now, that sugar has to be turned into another form, ATP, right? But sugar is the thing that we're trying to get. So when we're eating foods, and people talk about eating foods that are nutrient rich, so you can have all the minerals and vitamins, right? Vitamin D and iron and zinc and copper and magnesium and calcium, all of those, they all come into the body and they are used in some form or fashion to generate energy and to help help things in the body work so that energy is produced. So that's the ultimate goal. And the powerhouse, the place where this is done, is in the mitochondria. So the mitochondria, these are organelles, if you will, and there's a whole conversation about where they came from, what they are, whether they're symbiotic or other substances that got into the body. But anyway, right now, the body uses them. It is a part of us. It is built into us and has become a part of what we do, right? So mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cells. This is the energy producer. This is the energy manipulator. This is the energy generator. It's kind of like when we went camping a little while ago, when we went to Wyoming. We had some generators that we took with us. We had several generators. Actually, we had a gas power generator, and then we had a little inverter. And so what happened was we put gas into the generator, and then the generator ran and it supplied electricity, and then we used the electricity to run other things. So that generator was the power source, it was the powerhouse. It was taking gas and converting it into a usable form. And that's what the mitochondria does. It takes the food that we eat and it breaks it into its component parts and it uses that to do the things that the body needs, right? And then fasting has a profound impact on mitochondria, which we're talking about here in a minute, and the function and the efficiency. So improved mitochondrial health is linked to better energy levels, better fat metabolism, and better longevity. So why are we talking about mitochondria? Why is that important? Why are we focusing on it? That's the reason. Because mitochondria are the energy source. So if we can boost that, if we can improve that, if we can make that run better, if we can make it do more of what it does, then it has profound benefits for the rest of the body and for our disease process. Okay. So mitochondria. So in fasting, the mitochondria's metabolic shift from glucose to fat is triggered. And so now the mitochondria is moving from burning sugar to burning fat. And the body begins to break down fat stores, converting them into ketones, as we've talked about in our ketogenic process in our journey. So this shift enhances the mitochondrial efficiency and it boosts energy production. So the mitochondria become more efficient at burning this energy source than it does burning gas or burning I said gas, burning sugar, burning carbohydrates. So it's kind of like your car, right? So it's if you have a hybrid car and it burns gas, but it can also burn energy from the battery. It can use the battery for energy. And when we're burning gas in the car, it's giving off those fumes, right? The exhaust. But the battery is a more efficient, it is a cleaner energy source to burn for the car. And so just like that, carbohydrates and ketones. So ketones, when the body shifts over to that, it's efficient and it boosts energy production in the mitochondria. Yeah. So ketones as mitochondrial fuel. So ketones are a cleaner, more efficient fuel for the mitochondria, as we just said. They generate less oxidation and oxidative stress, and that's the fumes that I was just talking about, the exhaust. And they burn and they produce less free radicals. Free radicals are those things that are generated in the body as a result of metabolism that can cause damage to tissues, other cells, and other things in the body. Okay. So mitochondria, when they're burning ketones, we don't get all of that. So this leads to improved mitochondrial function and less cellular damage, so that the mitochondria is very efficient at burning ketones and it's not producing those fumes, and those fumes don't go into the rest of the body and they don't cause cellular damage, which is going to be important here in just a little bit, right? So it's very, very important to understand that, the fuel source and how that works. So what is the role of autophagy in mitochondrial health? Remember, autophagy is the body's cleanup process. It's the recycling recycling process the body uses. I liken it unto when you take your old discarded papers, magazines, your bottles, your plasticware, whatever it is, the cardboard boxes, you put them in the recycling, and those go off somewhere. And they process them. And after a while, those things that went off, the discarded, old, unused, broken things, they come back, but now they come back as something completely different. They come back as a different product. I think I mentioned that I went to, where did we go? We went somewhere. And I went to the shoe store and I bought some tennis shoes. And when I picked it up, when I looked at it, it says, hey, this is 20 to 30% recycled material, right? So that stuff was something old that somebody threw away that then went to the recycling, and we reprocessed it and we created something totally new from it. And so autophagy is the body's recycling system that goes out and finds broken, damaged, unused cells, and then it recreates it or reprocesses it or recycles it into a totally different new product, so that we are patching, we're healing, we're rebuilding damaged parts of the body. And so fasting activates autophagy. This is the body's process of cleaning damaged cells. Mitochondrial autophagy, or mitophagy is what it's called, removes dysfunctional mitochondria and making space available for healthy, efficient ones. So when we're fasting, autophagy goes and it grabs these broken, damaged mitochondria, it recycles them, and in the process of doing that, it makes space for new mitochondria to come in, and for those mitochondria, and so what we're using now is better, faster, more efficient mitochondria, not the old, damaged, broken ones. And so now we have better processing. So this rejuvenates the body, and this process is crucial for maintaining energy levels and longevity. Because if I have better, more efficient mitochondria, then the processes that the mitochondria goes through, the processes that it's involved with, the processes that it helps to regulate and is an integral part of, those processes get better. Notice, right? See where we go? So that's the cascade. Because we have better mitochondria, we get better functioning. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. All right. So studies have shown that that intermittent fasting improves mitochondrial function and the density. So it improves how it works. That's the function. And it improves the volume, the density. How many mitochondria are there? Notice that, right? So intermittent fasting has been shown to improve the function. Makes it better because autophagy is there and it's repairing and it's getting new ones. And you get more of them. So better ones and more. That's, the best of both worlds. Long-term fasting has been linked to increased mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. Right? So as we are fasting, so we're getting better mitochondrial function, we're getting more mitochondria, and now we are generating more, right? So we have enough space now because we're getting rid of old ones, and the body's beginning to make more. We're creating new mitochondria, and the studies basically show that ketones, right, produced during fasting protect mitochondria from oxidative damage. So let's go through this process. So we're going out and we're cleaning up the system. That's autophagy. Stimulated by fasting, enhanced by fasting. When energy levels go down, autophagy goes out and says, hey, my energy levels are changing. I need to go and be as efficient as possible. So it goes out and finds damaged parts of itself and say, hey, this shouldn't be here. I shouldn't first be giving energy to sustain it. And if I take it, I can break it apart, and maybe there's something in it that I can use as energy myself. So that's the first part of autophagy. And then, because we have gotten rid of those damaged cells, we've now made space for new mitochondria. And the new mitochondria that we're getting, they have enhanced function, so they're better. So mitochondria 2.0, right? Or 3.0 or 4.0, whatever the number is going to be. So they're more efficient, and we have higher density, so we have more of them. So that's the process. And then now the ketones, the very source of energy that they're using, the ketones are protective for the mitochondria. So we're recycling them, we're making more space for them, we're making them more efficient, we're making more of them, and now we're protecting them from damage. So now it's just a cascade. Isn't that amazing? And that's all through fasting. All right. So fasting and mitochondrial growth, right? So fasting stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis through pathways like AMPK and PGC, right? 1 alpha. So these are pathways that promote the formation of new mitochondria. They enhance overall energy capacity in the body. So when we fast, and I think I shouldn't say we think, but we did a show where we talked about the pathways for autophagy, pathways that fasting stimulates. And these are some of the pathways that promote formation of new mitochondria. So as we're fasting, these pathways get more enhanced. So think back to, and we'll do this if you go back to one of our shows where we did a walkthrough um, of fasting, which we typically do on Fridays, then you'll recall that as we are walking through the process, then the autophagy begins right at between that 12 to 18 hour. It revs up in that 18 to 24. It really kicks in after 24 hours and is in full force after that. Right? So just the progression of when autophagy starts and how it moves. So these pathways promote formation of new mitochondria, enhancing overall energy capacity within the system. And then increased mitochondrial density means better energy production and improved physical endurance, right? So we get better mitochondria. We get better because autophagy is now bringing out more enhanced ones. We're protecting them and we're getting a lot more of them. Now it's like a swarm. Yeah. So those are the benefits. Those are the benefits of fasting as it relates to mitochondria and longevity. And so let's talk a little bit about that longevity. So if we're doing a better job, right? If we're doing a better job of um, of creating mitochondria, if we're doing a better job of protecting mitochondria, then that leads to longevity, right? So this is longer survival. So efficient mitochondria reduce the burden of oxidative stress, a major factor in aging. So if we have less oxidative stress, then our aging is basically we're slowing the aging process because we don't have all those damage that process that's damaging the cell. And the studies show that fasting extends lifespan by enhancing mitochondrial health. That's how the proposal is that's how it does it, because we are doing a better job of protecting and having better, more efficient mitochondria. So the combination of mitophagy, that is autophagy in the mitochondria, and biogenesis, that's creating new mitochondria, this keeps cells younger and more efficient. So we're coming at it from two different sides: mitophagy and biogenesis. So we're getting better mitochondria because we are going through the process of cleaning out and protecting and so forth, and we're generating more. So we're protecting them on two fronts. So what does this really mean? What does this really mean for us? For you, for me? So what it means is more stable energy levels throughout the day. Number one. So if the powerhouse that I'm using, if the powerhouse that regulates and gives me energy, if it's more efficient, if there are more of those guys, then my energy levels throughout the day better, more stable, more efficient. It also improves my physical performance and recovery. So my energy source is better, right? And I often think of, I use this for a lot of things in the Marvel movies when Tony Stark creates the new arc reactor and he takes the old one out that's really kind of killing him anyway, and he puts the new one in and he pops it and it turns, and that energy that just soars into him, right? That is what's going on. So we are supercharging, super enhancing the mitochondria. And when we do that, because the mitochondria is the energy producer, is the energy regulator, is the energy transformer, if you will, is the generator, then our energy in our body and our performance improves. And then we get better fat metabolism. So not only are we talking about longevity, not only are we talking about performance, but fat burning takes energy. Come on, come on, come on, right? So fat burning, if I'm going to burn fat, there's a certain amount of energy that it requires to burn the fat. And so now I have better energy sources that are coming from the mitochondria. I have a better generator that's more stable, more efficient. And so I'm able to burn fat more efficiently. And because I can do that, right, better fat burning, better fat metabolism, leading to weight loss and overall improved health. So because we enhanced the mitochondria, because we made it better, it is in turn now be able to do the things that we need in the body more efficiently, with more better performance, better recovery. You know what recovery means? Recovery means that when we've used up, when we've done things that may be damaging to the body, when we've extended ourselves, like not getting enough rest, when we've done things to zap our energy, because the mitochondria are improved, a better version, mitochondria 2.0, then we are able to get over that faster. And so our overall health is better because we have a better energy source. Isn't that amazing? I love it. I love it. So what does that mean to us? It means more stable energy throughout the day, improved performance, better recovery, better fat metabolism, more weight loss, and overall better health. So here's some tips for optimizing mitochondria with fasting. 1, aim for fasting windows at least 16 hours to tap into fat metabolism and autophagy. When we said that autophagy begins in that 12 to 18, it really kicks in that 16 to 24, and it supercharges after that, right? So aim for a longer fast. So if you're doing like a 12 and 12, let's kick that up a little bit. Incorporate longer fasts periodically. So here we do extended fast, right? So extended fast is anything that's beyond 24 hours. So 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours, like we did one week. So if you incorporate longer fasts periodically, this leads to deeper mitochondrial benefits. Because remember, as we get beyond those intermittent fasting into the extended fasting, what we're seeing is longer, better mitochondrial health and more autophagy. And then stay hydrated and maintain electrolyte balance to support mitochondrial function. Remember, the mitochondria are in the body, and they're using the very same things that we need, right? When we talk about all the vitamins and minerals and so forth that we're putting in, part of it is to help the mitochondria. Because if the mitochondria is doing well, then everything else is doing well. I mentioned before that when we stay hydrated, what we're really doing is we're giving the body the liquid, the fluid it needs to do lots of different things. Number one, it's got to get energy from a particular part of the body to another part, and that's done with blood. Blood is a large part water. So when you get dehydrated, your blood gets thicker. When your blood gets thicker, in order to maintain the same amount of blood moving to the same places at the same rate, the body has to increase the heart rate. So people will talk about having palpitations. That's one of the reasons. Okay? So fluid, so fluid is getting things to different places. So it's taking energy there to us tissue, but it also has to take waste away. So it has to remove toxins. if you're not hydrated, then that process is slowed, is delayed. Also, the enzymes that are working, all the different components, they need lubrication to work. They need water. And so if we're not dehydrated, then those are slowed. So you can see that staying hydrated gives a lot of benefit. And we're just now talking about volume, right? Not to mention the things when we mentioned there, electrolytes and so forth. Not to mention all those things that we now have to make sure that they're incorporated, right? Stay hydrated, maintain good electrolyte balance. And so, what are some things to watch for? What are some things to watch for? So, fasting can be intense. Yep. Right, fasting can be intense, as you know, and we've done, right? And each time I come on, I'm sharing something different, something new, something I've seen, something I've experienced, something that maybe a community member has asked about, right? So fasting can be intense. You want to monitor energy levels and your overall health. We always, in all that we do, the key is safety. Making sure that whatever we're doing, that we're doing so safely. Okay? So monitor our energy levels. You want to make sure that you are talking with your healthcare provider before attempting longer fasts. If you are in our community, then we talk. We have a meetup every month, and we talk through some of these processes. But if you're not in community, make sure that you're talking to your healthcare provider. Actually, even if you're in community, make sure you're talking to your healthcare provider. Right, particularly if you're going to do some of the more extended fasting regimens. And then avoiding fasting if you have some underlying health conditions. Make sure without talking to a getting medical guidance. So make sure you are not doing that. Okay, and you've heard me talk about some groups of people who have to make sure. Everybody should, but pregnant women, or anybody who's had some eating disorder, we want to make sure you're doing that. And then children, right? Those three groups. I want to make sure that I say to you specifically, you got to make sure that you're connecting with a healthcare provider. Now, everybody needs to, everybody should be under the care of a healthcare provider. But those groups of folks, I want to make sure that you know that you've got to make sure that you're connecting with them. Okay. All right. So let's see. So that's our fasting. That's our mitochondrial health, mitochondrial boost, mitochondrial, whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right. So let's hop over and let's take a look at my Dexcom Clarity report and see what's been going on with blood sugars. All right. So here we are. So that's my report right there. Let's take this one. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so you'll see there that for the last 2 weeks, my average blood sugar has been 119, which is actually pretty good, right? So I tell people between 100 and 120 is where we want your blood sugar to be in the morning. I'm in target 98% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180. My glucose management indicator is a 6.2, meaning that if I were to get an A1C based on these numbers, it would approximate a 6.2. Remember, the glucose management indicator is a calculated number. It's not an A1C. It's a calculated number that estimates the glucose. The A1C. If I change this from 14 days to 90 days, you'll see what my average blood sugar over the last 90 days have been. And so it is 134 with an A1C of 6.5. My time in range is 87, and my range is 70 to 180. Okay? If I go to my daily graphs and want to look to see what my blood sugar has been doing, let's go back from yesterday. Because remember, yesterday, right in here is when I had to change my monitor. And then right here is where we did our show. And I broke the fast and then restarted Blood sugar of 104, 106, and 24 hours later, we're at 99. Okay, and I want you to see, look at, so let's see, so broke the fast here and ate, and notice the blood sugars are climbing. All right, so 104, 105, 113, 122, 140s, 149, and then into that next morning, 170, 191. Didn't quite get to 200, but came pretty close, right? 193, and then started coming back down. And then you saw the graphs that we looked at a little while ago from the actual machine or the actual sensors, and this is what we're seeing right there. Okay, so very exciting. I like that. I like those numbers. All right, and then let's hop over. What do you think my ketones are? What do you think my ketones are gonna be? All right, so if you're out there, go ahead. I'm gonna get. Let me get my Keto Mojo app up, and let's get. Let's do this one. And let me get this one off the screen. Go ahead and pull this out. And go ahead and turn this on. And that should begin syncing there in just a minute. And then we'll see what that is. Maybe give it a little push. So syncing in progress. And drum roll, please. We've got our data that's been transferred. Okay, what do you think? And here's the reveal. It says that my ketones are 0.4. So my blood sugar is 109. Ketones are 0.4. Let's take a look at the graph. So the turquoise line that you see there, that's glucose. And the tan line, those are blood sugars. So this is when I broke the fast last week. So see, as I started eating, the tan line, which is blood sugar, went up, and the ketone line went down, which is the turquoise line. Blood sugar or ketones and insulin can't live in the same space. So if my blood sugars go up, then the insulin has to come out to deal with the sugar. And when insulin comes out, ketones begin going away. Okay? So that was last week. And then coming into where we are now. Okay, so right there was last night, I think, when we checked in with ketones of 0.2, and then now my blood sugar is starting to come down, right? Just went from what, 119, 117 down to 109, and the ketones went from 0.2 to 0.4, right? So when we talk about ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And we want, for the things that we're doing, we want ketones to be at least 0.5. Right? So we're getting fat burning, we're getting improved insulin sensitivity, we're getting improvement in our metabolic disease, we're getting weight loss. All those things occur as we get into that 0.5 or above. Okay? Now, we still get benefit before that. So even if you're not in ketosis, if you're watching the things you're eating, then you still get benefit. But if we're talking about using ketosis and fasting, then we want ketones that are at least 0.5 or higher. Because we know for sure, hey, we're getting what we need. Now, one of the questions that people will ask me is, why are your blood sugars not lower when fasting? Because right now I've been fasting for over 24 hours, and the blood sugars are still 109, right? So in that 24-hour period, we're burning fat and we're depleting glycogen from the liver. But even as we burn fat, we have the ability to convert part of the fat, a part of that, free fatty acids, right? Free fatty acids, triglycerides. So 3 fatty acid residues and attached to a glycerol backbone. So there's this thing, and those fatty acids are attached to it. So when we take the fatty acids off, those go and we make ketones out of them. But the rest of it can turn into sugar. So my body has the ability, even if I'm not eating carbohydrates, even if I'm not taking anything in, as in my case, we can still convert triglycerides into sugar. And so that's why my blood sugar is not zero, right? Because we're still able to convert. Awesome. All right. So did you guess? Did you get guess what my blood sugar is? Or my not blood sugar, but my ketones. Um, all right. So let's see. Let's hop over and let's take a look and see what some of the comments are that we have. Mr. Unreasonable says hello, good day, and he's joining us from over there at Twitch. Hey, thanks for coming through. Jennifer says, I find this interesting. Learning what and how fasting impacts me is intriguing. Thank you, Doc. Jennifer, thank you for coming through. We love educating, right? So the platform, educate, empower, encourage. And so all of these things, I love it as well because you're right. It helps me. I don't know. It makes me connect a little bit more to the processes that are going on within me. Okay, and so understanding it, knowing it, and just kind of reviewing it says, okay, yeah, that's what's going on in my body. That's how the benefits that I'm seeing. That's how my improved blood sugar, my A1C, and all those things. That's how it's happening. And so it's great, yeah, to have that in your pocket to say, okay, this is what's going on. All right. And I did, by the way, get my lab results. I think I told you guys that we were getting labs last week or so. And so I've got my appointment coming up with my physician. And so we're going to come on in one of our shows and actually walk through those labs with you. Right? So if you have labs, we have our community meetup that's coming up on, let's see, when is that? What date is that? So it's usually the fourth Thursday of the month, which will be, what's the fourth Thursday this month? Fourth Thursday of the month is going to be the 24th. I think we may need to change that because I think we're gonna be away, but we'll talk. Right? I've got to double check that. But anyway, so you can come through if you have questions. We can answer those during the community meetup, right? So make sure that you are joining us for that. We will begin putting out that link. If you have the link, it's the same link that we've been using, but on the show on Dwain Woode MD on Monday, we'll start giving that link out again for those of you who've not been with us who are interested in joining that session. Okay, and we'll give you the date because I think I'll have to change that. All right. So as I mentioned, we're doing some things with the family, and so I wanted to make sure that I got this show in. I've got to figure out how we're going to do the others. I may do on location somewhere, or you may find that I've done a recorded video. I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to do that. I've not seen the space that we're going to be in and what is available, but we will have something for you. So make sure that you join us in our check-ins. Make sure you join us on Saturday for videos from the vault, right, at 9 p.m. Central, and then Sunday morning for This Week in Review, 6 a.m. Central, and of course back here on Monday, Dwain Woode MD live as we do it in our show, and we're once again walking through the COPE model on how do we handle how do we cope with things versus buffering, right? If you don't understand, make sure you watch that. So coping versus buffering, and so all of that we do is with the intention of letting you know and helping you to unleash the unlimited potential that is within you. We all have the ability to craft. We all have the ability to chart our metabolic destiny, and that begins right now. What we have to do is we've got to tap into that potential, that unlimited potential that's there, and we just need to release it. We just need to get into it. And we do that with our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, the blogs, the podcasts. All of that is with the intention of changing our mindset, of giving a different perspective, helping us see things from a different angle. When we do that, then we're able to embrace the growth mindset as opposed to the fixed mindset. The growth mindset says that I am not just the sum of what I am right now, the knowledge I have. I have the ability to expand, I have the ability to grow, I have the ability to learn, I have the ability to change. So that's the growth mindset. The fixed mindset says all you have, or all you can do, or all you will be is what you are, what you have, what you do right now. And we want to move away from that. So we educate, we empower with the tools. So all the things that we learn, all the skills, all the protocols, all the mechanisms that we're learning, even this discussion that we had tonight, understanding the way things work, it is a tool. And the tools that we learn are what gives us power. Because once we get the knowledge, once we change our mindset, now we begin to put it into practice with the tools. Fasting, for example, is a tool that we're using for that purpose, right? So we empower with the tools. Just having knowledge doesn't do much if we can't activate it. Information on a piece of paper is just that, information on a piece of paper. It does not get power until we activate it, and that takes action. And the action comes in the empowerment with the tools. And then we encourage, and the encouragement comes as the community. We rally around each other, we build each other up, we share information, we share struggles, we share successes, so that we know that we're not by ourselves. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. That's the platform that we do. Remember, there are things that are going to push us in the direction to get off of our meal plan, get off of our diet, to get off of the way we're improving our metabolic health. And that's given by the HEAT model. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. So we eat, we are triggered. We eat not because we're hungry, we eat because we've developed a habit of eating. We eat when we go to the movies because that's what we do. We eat when somebody comes into town to come visit. We go to the coffee shop, we have a bagel, we have a muffin, we drink some coffee. Not because we're hungry, because we could have just finished eating, but because of the habits, the pattern, the routine, we eat. So we eat because of habits. We eat because of emotions. Emotions are very strong. They have the ability to short circuit the prefrontal cortex, which usually has the reasoning ability over the amygdala. The amygdala is the part of us that says we're going to just react. But the brain says, no, we don't have to react because we can do something different. It's kind of like when you see a tiger. The natural inclination, the tendency is the amygdala sees it and it wants to run because the amygdala says we got to get away from this tiger. But the prefrontal cortex comes in and says, hey, that is a tiger, but the tiger is in the zoo. Notice what just happened. The amygdala was ready to run because it saw a tiger, but the prefrontal cortex gives context. It gives reasoning. But when those emotions happen, they short circuit the process of having the prefrontal cortex handle the amygdala. And we end up eating. And then we eat because of access. So things just are around us. We talked about cleaning up our environment from food, right? Our homes, our jobs, our community. Because if things are just around, guess what we're going to do? We're going to eat it. And then we eat because of taste. The bliss point, the perfect combination of fat, sugar, and salt. When you eat it, you can't just eat once. You keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. But we're not chasing the food. Often we're chasing what the food does. The memory that brings back of when, mom used to cook that way, or that time we went to that place where we ate that thing, we felt that way. The mood that it puts us in. All of those are reasons why we eat. So it's not the food we're chasing, but we're chasing what the food does. And then our call to action, make sure when you come that you are joining the challenges. Every month we have a challenge. Every month we're giving you something that you can do to put into practice the principles, the ideas that we're learning. Don't just let this be something on the shelf. Make sure that you are jumping in and you're doing the challenges, because that sets you up for success. Also, tell your story. Claim your seat. Say, I'm here. I'm fasting. I've gotten better blood sugars. I've gotten better weight. My metabolic health is better. They took me off of some of my medicine because my numbers got better. Share those stories, because when we see that, when we hear that, then we know if you can do it, then we can do it. We can be successful as well. And when you're having challenges, we get to rally around you. We get to rally around each other so that we all know that we're not by ourselves. And then, of course, invite someone, invite a friend. There are over 1 billion people on the planet that have diabetes or prediabetes. You can be a voice of change. You can be a voice of reason that says our family does not have to keep having heart attacks. Our family does not have to continue having amputations and go on dialysis and go blind. Our family does not have to continue in this metabolic space. We can make a change. And you can be that voice. You can make a change in your community, at your church, at your doctor's office. Wherever you find yourself, you can be a voice that says, hey, we can do different. We have unlimited ability to make changes in our metabolic health. Send somebody a link. Invite them. Go with them. Watch the playlists. We've got a playlist that's called How to Reverse Diabetes. We've got one called Mastering Diabetes. Of course, we've got one that's called How to Fast Successfully. All of those are resources that are available. And then, of course, our website available as well. Okay? And then remember our pillars for reversing diabetes. We decrease insulin, we suppress our appetite, and we reduce sugar. And fasting, we're using it because it hits every one of those parameters. Every one of those pillars is handled with fasting. That's why fasting is such a powerful tool in our bag of tools and in our toolbox. Yep. All right. So that's the power of the mitochondria. That's where we get our benefit. That's where what we can do. Fasting, once again, enhances all of that. I'm always excited when I get to come and hang out with you. Join us again. Okay, we're going to be doing some shows coming up over the next couple of days. And, of course, Saturday night, videos from the vault, This Week in Review, and then Dwain Woode, MD. As always, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you at our next show.